Welcome. It's Ecom Rebel here, and we're back again tonight, live. Welcome, Mr. Bazinga. Good to see you with us. Alright, we'll wait for a few more people to come on. In the meantime, I am going to draw the winner of Bitcoin Cash. We're giving away $10 worth of Bitcoin Cash. I'm going to do that now. And to participate in that, all you need to do is like and subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon, and then we need a comment or a question, and we've got some great comments and questions. I really appreciate what everyone's doing. So let's draw a winner now. So this was the last one we did, so we'll select a winner. Let's see who it's gonna be. Charlene Perez, congratulations, you won yourself $10 worth of Bitcoin Cash. All right, I am going to send you some cash now. I'll do that from our wallet. I'll just do that off screen. This is probably my favorite bit, sending coin to people. That's great. It's a good feeling. It's good, especially if you're only getting started and you don't really have any coin. It's a good feeling to get it. So I'm going to send $10 USD. It's going to cost 3 cents for the transaction fee. So that is pretty cheap. That's pretty good. So let's click send. Send, we'll confirm that. Waiting, transaction sent. Excellent. Now we'll go back to... Okay, so Charlene, when you do get that, please let me know that you received it. I appreciate that. And also your question, I'm going to answer that. What's the best wallet out there around here? Okay, I definitely will answer that. So let's go to... Say hello to some more people. Rommel, what's up, Ecom? G'day, mate. How you doing? Chanel, hey, how you doing? Got a few people I've seen before on here. Good to have you back with us. If you've got any questions you want to hit me up while I'm on the live stream, let me know. So I'm gonna do a bit of a market recap, like I normally do. Get into the news and get into some questions and answer some more questions. So let's do that first. All right, so let's have a look at the markets today. So here in Australia, it is Saturday, so Saturday night. And last night I was talking about the markets over the weekend usually go up, and we've seen another great day. Pretty much green right across the board. Only BitConnect down a little bit. There you go, in Populous. But basically, you know, top 26 coins there, all in the green. So that's a good sign for the market. And basically, most people now have realized that, you know, the whole thing with China and South Korea, it's not as bad as I think. So they're getting back into the market, trading again, buying more, you know, they're moving on. So this happens regularly. There's always some disaster, some impending doom, and people go, oh my God, I gotta sell, I gotta get out, or, you know, I'm just gonna not do anything, or maybe I should sell. And, you know, it's basically fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD. And that's why it has a name like that, because what happens is when people see red and they see red and they basically think it's over, and then they sell out of their positions, and then all of a sudden the sun shines and the markets are green, and they're like, oh, I should have held on a little bit longer. So this happens all the time, and you've got to, this is why it's important not to be emotional about the markets, understand what they are and what they're about. Because if you didn't believe that they weren't going to go up over time, then okay, then there would be a different issue. But it's only if you fear the market is not going to go up or it's going to go down, you've made a bad decision because you don't really believe it yourself. That's when you fear, and that's when you sell out of your coins or get out of your positions. And as you get experienced, it's quite the opposite. When you see red days, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to get some more coins. This is great. My favorite coin is cheaper today. And, you know, you might even have red for a week or two or a month. and all it means is that your coins are getting cheaper in the market. And it all comes down and all works because you have a belief that in the future this is going to be worthwhile and more valuable. If you didn't have that belief, you wouldn't be in the crypto market. And some people don't quite get that. So yes, we had all green today. So let's have a quick look here. Bitcoin, only 2.9%, 14,334. Ethereum, nice move, 10% at 1342, so that was a good move. Ripple's at 1%. Bitcoin Cash up a little bit, sort of following suit with Bitcoin at 2600. Cardano, good move at 25%. NEM up 13%. Litecoin 245, about the same. Stellar hasn't moved much at 2.2. IOTA $3.93. We're at up about 11-12%. EOS, pretty big move today, 15% up to $16.10. Dash, little gain there with the 6.53 up to 1100. A bit down from when it was like 1200 before. NEO's up 8%. Tron about the same at 1.2. Monero up another 10, and Bitcoin Gold 17.55%. And then we'll go down the rest of the market. So we definitely see some good gains. I hope some of your coins was those ones you had. And so that was pretty exciting with those markets. So let's have a quick look at the news, and what was going on with the news. So let's have a quick look at Bitcoin.com and also Cointelegraph. So and also if you've got any other news sources that you personally like, put them in there. I'd like to maybe check them out as well and maybe put them on the show. So let's have a look at here. So I went through the news before just to see what was interesting. And see what really stood out, and there was a couple of articles that was interesting. So this one here was to do with the South Korean banks and the strict regulations for South Korean banks to stop servicing cryptocurrency exchanges. Now this is happening. This is this will happen and continue to happen through all the different countries and all the different markets. So what they do is, basically banks and crypto are completely opposite. Banks don't particularly like crypto, so you got to understand that. Why would they want to give up their power and their control and the amount of money they make when they're competing against crypto? They don't want to do that. They want to kill crypto off. I can't see any reason why they would not want to kill it off unless they owned it themselves or came up with their own crypto, bank thing. And maybe that could be Ripple, I don't know. But they want to be able to, control stuff. And they're being regulated by the the governments, okay? And the government is saying that, hey, you need to have controls for handling exchanges. Fair enough, if you want to protect your people. And also protect the money and the profits that they have. So basically, the 6 major banks involved. They talk about the banks. It always involves anti-money laundering, blah blah blah. So that's what they always use. And essentially, they're some of the banks are saying, well, we can't guarantee these aspects to these crypto exchanges. We don't know who they are. And it was all to do with knowing the actual, like a KYC process where you know who your customer is. So what they're doing is just shutting down their virtual accounts. So and the banks really don't want to do with it. So it's all to do with this policy, and you'll see this in a lot of different countries that do it, and a lot of different governments. And this is not going to be the first time we're going to see this. And essentially, because they're doing that, the exchanges that accept crypto, once they stopped their banking facilities, it makes the exchanges very difficult to transact, because if they can't bank and they can't change to fiat, it cripples their business. Now, this happens. This happened in Australia just just on a single. I think it was like one exchange's coinspot.com.au, and their bank basically pulled all their business banking with them, so that they could not transact and deposit basically fiat, and they couldn't do those conversions. So they could still accept crypto, but they couldn't change it to to a currency, couldn't put deposits in there, and essentially now they had to find another bank. So I'll have to find out the update for that. But this is happening all over the place. So get used to that, and you'll see in the future we're going to have basically decentralized exchanges, peer-to-peer type exchanges, where people are going to get together and transfer funds and also transact without the banks and deal in cash as well, and basically get around dealing with these big exchanges and the banks and the governments getting involved. So I see a big market for that. So that was good. All right, so then on the opposite hand, we've got Japan. Japan's embracing crypto. So DMM Exchange opens with 7 currencies and 14 trading pairs. They opened up, and they're also giving away, when you open up a new account, between January 11 and March 11, they're giving away $9 US, which is pretty good. Also, you can trade on PC, Android, iOS, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, Ethereum, Classic, NEM, Bitcoin Cash, and Ripple. So then they've got the trading pairs. Here they're all listed here. So that was good. It's good to see that they're, Japan has really accepted the technology and they're running with it. So basically, this is a good thing for Japan, and if they continue that way, they're going to see more and more investment in that country, and more people setting up accounts in Japan, and more adoption. So this is a great thing. Every time we open exchange and make it available to more people, I think that allows more people to come in the market, and that coin market cap, that cap there, that 741, once you make it available to more people, this will increase, and the prices go up accordingly. So that was some good news out of Japan. Moving on to Russia. Some exchanges will be legalized. This is about, they're doing a draft bill to legalize cryptocurrency trading in approved exchanges. This is really Russia's way of regulating. At the moment, they're talking about, some platforms being regulated. Putin says they need for proper regulation. They do that basically so they can control it, even Russia. So they're moving towards this. So they are allowing crypto on approved exchanges, and this is what they're moving towards. So that's a good thing, but they probably will regulate it and control it in the near future. But I don't see that too much of a problem. So that was come out of Russia. Now, this is why the markets have been going up, which I did talk about last night, was Chinese Bitcoin mining giant Bitmain establishes a branch in Switzerland. So there's Switzerland. Basically, they're setting up their headquarters in Switzerland. And the reason is they've quoted one of the most progressive countries. So basically, if you've been under a rock for the last few days, because of the Chinese ban, or you've heard that in the news, but they're coming down on crypto. Essentially, they want to regulate the whole mining thing. They want to tax. And so, like, Bitmain is now moving out. They're setting up here in Switzerland for the headquarters, and they plan to use that and expand out. Now, the next one was going to Canada. The Chinese Bitcoin miners are turning to Canada. Now, I did see an article about this, and I wasn't sure, whether it was really happening. But Quebec has got a lot of hydroelectric power, and there's been some reports of the data centers over there. Now, Chinese firms are coming in with money, and they have started to do this 6 months ago, and it's increasing over the last month. So essentially what's happening is the miners are coming in, and they want to move into Quebec and Canada, basically because climate conditions are good. It's a cold climate, electricity rates are good, and it's favorable. They're not going to get taxed like they are and also the crackdown what's happening in China. So you'll see this. They're setting up, moving all their rigs out, and setting up these new mining farms. So that's, this is a good thing. I think it's a good thing because it's getting, instead of being controlled by one country and all the the mining happening there. Now it's being dispersed, because once it's in one country and the country cracks down on it, it's going to be a problem. I would say these miners are going to be branching out over more countries, so that then they're prepared for any future problems, and it won't affect their business so much. So that's great news, and this is why the market, I think, is much happier, because they can see that the miners are trying to solve the problems and moving to another country. I'll just stop for a second and we'll have a look at some questions and stuff that come through. What have we got here? Bit sequence a scam. I'm not sure if you mean Bit sequence or Bit Connect. I'm not sure. I'll check that one out. Andrea, sorry for yesterday. I was in the train with no line. Could not participate here in Italy, and the internet line is very bad. Hope to follow you as often as I can. You are welcome. Yes, sometimes it's pretty difficult when you've internet and it doesn't work, but you can always, if you can't get on live, you can always watch the replays. So Rommel says, is it true that Canon Ltd is tied up to EOS? I haven't heard that one. I will have a look into that. I haven't actually, I haven't come across that one. That's interesting news to me, so it's always good to find out something. I will have a look into that a bit more. MC Hoddle, thanks for joining us. Have you noticed the @Bitcoin Twitter account always posting tweet against Bitcoin while promoting Bitcoin Cash? Do you think it's been hijacked by somebody? Good question. Bitcoin. Let's have a look. Let's go to Twitter. And let's put in the... no, that's not it. Up here. Okay, so Bitcoin. Now, just so you know who Bitcoin is, just double check. You may not be aware. I'm gonna just double check, make sure we got the right one. So if you're not familiar, this website here, right, this is bitcoin.com, and your comment was about it's always posting against Bitcoin while promoting Bitcoin Cash. Okay, now I'll tell you the reason for that. So bitcoin.com is owned by Roger Ver, and Roger Ver is one of the very first people that promoted Bitcoin pretty heavily, and also in Japan. He went to Japan a lot, and I think he's currently living in Japan. Basically, he was one of the early adopters and promoters of Bitcoin, and so he's got huge influence, and he's been around for a long time. In fact, I think from memory, I watched a documentation. Yeah, that's right. I watched this documentary on Bitcoin, and Roger Ver was in it. And when I watched that, I was like, oh my God, this is just incredible. And that was my first experience with Roger, like hearing what he had to say and everything like that. So he's been a really long time promoter for it. Now he owns Bitcoin.com, and he's been involved in that and building Bitcoin. However, you'll notice that basically, if we have a look at BTC dominance, in the last year, there was this problem with the scaling with consensus. Okay, so everything was rosy with Bitcoin, even though they were slowly trending down. Here we're still at 80-90%. Okay, and it wasn't until basically January of last year that the wheels fell off. Okay, when we went down here, and I think this was Ethereum went up. Ethereum was like they were nearly like close to each other, as you can see from this peak here. And all that meant was Ethereum was just nearly going to overtake Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was coming down. It was losing its dominance in the whole market. And the reason for that is basically of the fees and the block times with this 1 megabyte limit, okay? And all it means is there's so many transactions that can fit in a block. And what happens is when there's too many transactions, they can't fit in that block. They have to wait to the next block. And the blocks get mined every 10 minutes. So then there's a delay. And this will continue until they solve the problem scaling. And so far they haven't. And that's why you pay high fees and wait long time for Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin, if we have a look at Roger Ver, he's one of the people behind, and there's a lot of them behind Bitcoin Cash, and it forked earlier. So Bitcoin, we have a look at Bitcoin Cash. This is a bit of a history lesson, only like not very long ago history lesson. But if we go back to Bitcoin Cash, I was there for the forking when that happened. That was actually pretty exciting. That was sort of, I think it was my first main fork that I watched live, and it was pretty exciting at the time. So, and pretty volatile when it first came out. But when Bitcoin forked back here, would have been, I think it forked around, there you go, around about July 23rd, somewhere around about that date. When it forked, basically it's a copy of Bitcoin, and then they're going to make changes to the code, and it's going to go in a different direction. And what's interesting about that, Roger Ver and a lot of other people brought Bitcoin Cash. Now, Bitcoin Cash did not die off like a lot of people said it was going to happen. They said it was a scam and all this sort of stuff. But Bitcoin Cash currently is number 4 at 44 billion. Now, other forks have happened of Bitcoin Cash, right? Bitcoin themselves. Plenty of forks have happened in Bitcoin. And a lot of them, like, for example, Bitcoin Gold was a recent one, and we're at 15, and it is making some grounds. And if you go back, there's actually other coins that have been forked from Bitcoin. There's a lot. So, and there's nothing wrong or new about that. All it is there's just a copy of the software, and they're going a different direction. And what's fascinating about this is that Bitcoin said they could not scale on chain, and they could not handle more transactions, and they could not reduce the fees without implementing all these new things. Bitcoin Cash came along. They modified some of the code, and essentially the fees are hardly anything compared to Bitcoin. And as far as the transactions go, because they have more and larger blocks, essentially they can handle more transactions, and they can get the volume through. So it's just not being used as much as Bitcoin Cash, but it's definitely it's better in a lot of ways. So they've basically proved that the guys called Bitcoin Legacy or Bitcoin Core, they've proved that essentially they're allowing that to happen, and they're not fixing the problem. Okay, so that's that. I'm not going to go into either side of who's right and who's wrong, because people can argue all day long about that. I'm not. I just like it because it's cheaper and easier and faster to use than Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin had solved the problem, I probably would have held on to all my Bitcoin, and I would have not worried about Bitcoin Cash. In fact, Bitcoin Cash probably wouldn't have existed. So getting back to that with this site, bitcoin.com, and have a look at the Twitter feed. As you'll go through here, they always mention about Bitcoin Cash, and that answers your question as to why. It's because these guys are switching over to Bitcoin Cash, and they're encouraging people to adopt. You'll be able to buy, I think soon they were talking about Bitcoin Cash. So now you can see Bitcoin retweeted that Praxis now uses Bitcoin Cash. And it's because they're transitioning to Bitcoin Cash. And that's the reason for it. So just be aware that that's what it's about. And they would argue that Bitcoin Cash is more like the original Bitcoin than Bitcoin is itself. So if you look into the past and how it began, here's a document, you can check it out. And that's basically their argument. And it's no different to like Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, how it diverged when they had that big hacking incident where there was millions and millions of dollars hacked, and then it split in a fork. So this will continue to happen with forks, and people will disagree and not come to consensus. So I hope that helps. I know it took a little while on that one, but hopefully that helps explain why that is. Okay, Carlo, finally I'm free and I can participate. Awesome, Carlo, welcome. Ethereum Dark is really going up, folks. Watch out for that. Yeah, I might have a look into that a bit more. There's a lot of interesting coins. And MC Huddle says they should change their name to Bcash. Yes, some people call it Bcash, some call it Bitcoin Cash. In fact, if you go through a lot of the coins, in fact, we'll have a quick look now just for your viewing pleasure. Let's put in here Bitcoin. Have a look at how many are called Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash, people got on the bandwagon against it because they thought it was stealing their name. In fact, there's Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Dark, Bitcoin Plus, Bitcoin Z, Bitcoin Script, and Bitcoin Red. And these have been around a lot longer than Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold. So I don't think there's any issues with the naming of it, because essentially they come from the same, most of these I believe come from the same fork of Bitcoin. Some like to completely rename themselves to something else, and who knows what will happen. So yes, you'll get some people call it Bitcoin Cash and some people call it Bcash. So so that's pretty cool. All right, so I think we've covered some of the questions there. Excellent. I'm just going to finish off some of these news items. There was one here, crypto derivative platform Counterparty is coming to Bitcoin Cash network. Talking about that before, Bitcoin Cash. So a lot of people now, and this is the thing, a lot of people and a lot of projects are moving towards Bitcoin Cash because of the fees. And well, the fees being cheaper on Bitcoin Cash. So it's another development. So they're going to dedicate to the Bitcoin Cash network. If you want to check out what it's all about, you can just look up Counterparty. And basically they're going to essentially set it up for the Bitcoin Cash network. So this will be good. This will be something we'll be doing. So that was good. And if we go to Cointelegraph, we've heard some reports that Kraken's been down for nearly 48 hours. So, they've got issues. Now, this is what happens when you're on platforms. I've heard lots of stories, and, this is where the problem is with the exchanges, is that when things go wrong, you can't move your funds in or out. Okay, so that's what happens, and so you got to be careful of that, and make sure you're not too exposed with your exchanges, because if you have too much tied up in exchange and something goes wrong, it could be hacking. It could be that in this case, Kraken, they've got a problem with it. With it, they're trying to get it fixed. I've also heard of there was another one I saw. I'm not sure if it's in the news at the moment. I think it was Bitstamp. There was another one I heard which were charging ridiculous fees for actually getting out, and it was and also they wanted to know more details before you could even withdraw. So there's a lot of exchanges which are now, people are like going, I'm not going to, once I get my money or coins out of these exchanges, we're never going back to them. So this is why people are moving to exchanges like Binance and the KuCoin. I think they're on here. So if you don't know about Binance, so there's scroll down a bit. There's Binance Coin. They've got a coin and all, but it's based on exchange. This is an incredible platform. And there was a story I saw. I don't know if it was in here or not. No, actually, here it is. Yeah, this was the CEO talking. It was actually referring to Warren Buffett when he was saying, does not understand cryptocurrency, is making a mistake. So this was good. He was on Bloomberg because we talked about that the other day. And basically Buffett confirms that he doesn't know anything about crypto. So, but here's the thing. Binance saw 240,000 sign-ups in a single hour. And that's why some people commented they were having issues joining, because I've got a link for Binance. If you haven't set up an account, try to set up an account with them, because they're only, I believe they're only accepting so many at a time, and then you got to wait, and they've got to try and accepted, but it's really worthwhile getting into that exchange. It's the fees are much cheaper, the platform is far superior, and they're not having the same problems as some of the US based ones. So that was good. So I saw that, and what else was there? I think that was about all much as news. Oh, there was a comment I saw that I had to comment on, and it was there was two. This one, Nathan talked about why Cameron Winklevoss drives an old SUV. I actually looked that up to have a quick look at that story. And if you don't know about this, I did actually talk about this probably a month or two ago now. And basically, these twins, they basically sued Mark Zuckerberg, saying he stole the idea of Facebook, right? And they got paid out. I think it was 65 million. And so they got paid 65 million, and they bought Bitcoin with that. I think just seeing if it tells you how much. But now, because they bought it, this was back a while ago when they bought this all their money. Actually, I think they bought 12 million in Bitcoin from memory. When they did it, now it's worth 1.3 billion. So these guys are worth a pretty penny anyway. But they have now, I think it's worth 1.3 billion with the amount of that they have. So that was something interesting. And when I was reading there, it did say the part where they still he still drives around like an old car, which was the comment here, in an old SUV. So that's interesting. It just because you might be a billionaire or millionaire or maybe quite comfortable, not everyone has to flash it off with Lambos or anything like that. If some people don't need that sort of stuff. So it's whatever is important to you. Some of you guys might want fast cars and mansions and all that sort of exciting stuff, and other people are not interested in that. They might be interested in other types of things in life. So that was interesting. So that was good. Appreciate that comment. There was a funny one here. There was a comment on which made me laugh. I enjoyed that, so I'm going to bring it up. Crypto to the moon. Said, what are your thoughts on KFC is now accepting Bitcoin for buckets of fried chicken? I like that. That was great. So it made me laugh. So here it is. KFC is now accepting Bitcoin for buckets of fried chicken. The chain is hungry for hype, and they've got like their real-time price in Bitcoin. So look, it's just a straight out gimmick. This is like a PR firm. They're like coming up with ideas on let's get into the news. They come up with this stuff all the time. They take a topic that's out in the news, there's people are talking about, and then they do a little bit of a stunt like this, call it the KFC Bitcoin bucket, and they put it out there, and there's nothing really of it. You can't really accept it or whatever, but it gets people talking about KFC. And that is all it is. It's just, they're just trying to ride along and, get excited about, they're trying to get people excited about KFC from Bitcoin. That's all it is. It's just a gimmick. So nothing to that, but it just made me laugh. All right. So I think we've covered most of the questions. I'll just have a quick look at our time and where we're at and see if there's any other live questions. We're at about 34 minutes. So I'll just see if you have any more ones here. So we've got no other questions on the live. That's all good. So I think we've covered most things. I'll just check there was some more, if there was any more comments that I wanted to talk about. Is Bitcoin dying as a payment option? Yes, it is. Why? Because it costs too much to send. When I send money in my bank account to someone else, it doesn't actually cost me anything to transfer the money. It takes a long time. It might take a couple of days to do that, but it doesn't cost me anything. Essentially, nothing directly. Sometimes they'll charge you $10 a month to have an account, okay? But transferring funds doesn't cost anything. That's what the bank does, right? When it costs more money to send a coin, it's just, honestly, you can't use it if it costs too much money. You can't transact with that, and that is the problem with Bitcoin. So unless they can fix it, no one's going to be using it to buy real real world items. They might be using it to speculate, and they might be using it to buy big, huge amounts of Bitcoin, but they're still going to be paying huge fees on that. And the percentages are just stupid. So, yes, that's exactly right, Rommel. Bitcoin is dying as a payment option. Also, will Bitcoin hurt Western Union? I'm not sure exactly, Caitlin, about that. See, there was something about Western Union. Actually, it was MoneyGram was doing something with Ripple. There was an article about that coming out. And, that could be the case. Bitcoin will hurt. Look, Western Union's expensive, but with Bitcoin, it's not any cheaper with these fees right now. I think other coins are going to solve that problem. For example, Dash Pay. When Dash launches their new platform, essentially it'll be doing the same thing as Western Union, and you wouldn't even bother using it. So I think it maybe not Bitcoin, but definitely some of the other coins are going to destroy things like Western Union over time. All right. So that was good. BitConnect. Yeah, there you go. So another cease and desist from Carolina. There you go. So if you're in BitConnect, your days are numbered. I'd get your funds out of there if you can. Get them into something a bit more real. Like just get into coins or get into ICOs. That's what I haven't talked about tonight. Just briefly as ICOs, we might actually finish up just with a quick look at some of the ones. I've got a few ICOs coming up in the next few weeks. Some pretty exciting. So I've been pretty busy with them, doing all my research, just doing all the due diligence on that, and I've got some really big ones coming up. So pretty excited about that. Now, if you were in our Slack group, we'd be talking about these all the time. You'd actually see what they are. Some of the ones are listed on this page here and some aren't. And also we discuss, as part of the group, we discuss what we're getting into, and some of these ones that are worthwhile or not. So I did a thing on Self-Key yesterday. There's another one called the VIP, very similar. Insurance Power Mobius. There's a whole bunch of these different ones. They're all very interesting. I'll do research on them. And why do we get into ICOs? It's because it's the best possible time and the cheapest price that you can get into coins. Now, some people might argue that, we've seen ICOs where the price drops and, they go down to 1/10 of the price. Yeah, that's true. But the ones that do well, they continue to move on up and up and up. And, all we have to do is click on this ICO stats and we'll have a quick look at some of these returns and some of these ICOs. And essentially it's like getting into a coin. It's like getting into Bitcoin or Ethereum. Instead of paying, $1,200 for Ethereum, would have you liked to get in and invest it when it was $1 or $2? And this is the question you got to look at. Why do you get into some of these coins? If it's to do with making, money and investing, you get into the coins because of the returns, because of there's basically what you're going to get from it and how far the project's going to go. You don't get into it to lose your money. So, Icons at 86, Dragon Chain 63, Tron 58. So these are just some of the returns you get. Even this one here, Power Ledger, that was one that I was in, and I got in. I think, yeah, that was one of the first ones I got in and made some really good money on that one, and it continues to do well. So these ones here, this was the one I would have got into at the time. This was when I was learning about ICOs and got involved in that, and made, I'm just trying to think exactly how much. I think I made possibly 10x on that one. So I think I got out Paraledger at 10x on that investment. So that was exciting. That was one of my first real big hitters. And an EOS, that was another one I got in early on. I think we're now at $15. I think EOS I got in when it was about $2.50, and that's one of the longest running things. Now it's only at about 16%, but literally if you'd put $1,000 into that, you'd be 16 grand now. So this gives you an idea. It did take some time for EOS, for that to happen. But you know, these things, some of them do take time. Some of them are much more quicker than that. Another one here, Simple Token. This one here, 12.31x currently. So it was around about, I think it was 8 cents. I sold my Simple Token off recently, made some good money on that, and it continues to perform well. So these are just some of the ones that already have launched, and you know, check them out. Some of these have still got a lot of legs left in them, and you know, they still haven't got their project completed. They still haven't got it all out, and when that happens, you know, the price of these things is going to go up. But essentially, you want to pay the cheapest you can for coins and the best time and the best projects. And you don't know which one's going to be. That's why you need to get yourself some education and learn about it. So if you're interested, check out the link below. I've got a few links down there, and one's for the course that my good friend NG Gavin put together. And you can go over there, check it out. If you've got any questions, you can hit me up either on Facebook or here on YouTube. And yeah, just wanted to let you know about that, because basically this is where some of the biggest returns are being made. You can definitely trade if you're very good with trading, because I've done like plenty of trading before, and I feel like that is one. You have to be a type of person that can handle that aspect of trading, and also the time frames, whether it's day trading or swing trading or longer term. But the moment this ICO is honestly the best way to get in and make some big returns, especially if you're not a trader that is comfortable with trading all the time, because it is like a skill. I suppose you could say doing the investing is definitely a skill, but trading is a skill too. But it also is a timing. It involves a lot of effort. So I found I was a lot drained when I was doing day trading, but when I do the ICOs, I just put my research into them, you know, find out the good ones from the bad ones, and that's why I'm part of the group. And we just go through and we work out which ones aren't and which ones are, and we come to a consensus on that. So that's a good thing about being part of a group that does that sort of stuff all the time. So that's pretty exciting. So I think we'll wrap it up now. We're at about 42 minutes. I'll quickly see if I've got any questions extra. What else have we got here? Carlos says, what do you think would be good coin to buy? Well, if you're talking about just coins, we could have a quick look and then I'll wrap it up. You know what? Binance. There's a good coin to buy. Binance, just have a quick look at it. You've got people flocking to the Binance platform. They're slowly bringing people in, and people are going to be trading more. As you can see, I've had a big move. It would have been good if you got into here, but this is going to continue to grow until something changes, and that could be another platform or something different. But for the meantime, this is definitely in a trend. When you trade, and the more you trade, you need fees. You need to pay fees. If you use the Binance coin, you actually get a discount for using, fees are reduced. So it makes sense to buy the coin. So this one, and I'll give you a bonus one. I'll give you KuCoin as well. So KuCoin is another exchange similar to Binance, and there's KuCoin there. And basically, it's around about $18, the same sort of price. And essentially, I don't think I've got my link for that for KuCoin. I might have to add that in there. But there's been a big move since December, and this is because the number of people onboarding onto this platform. And you can see how it was at about 84 cents. And Christmas has moved up to $1, $2, $3, $5, and now we're up to $18. And I believe this is going to continue because of the people getting into these exchanges with the and basically it's a useful coin because you can pay your fees with it, you can trade, and essentially there's a good platform to get onto. So there's two coins you might want to look at getting into. And when you're buying, I would wait for a red day or a couple of red days to get into these coins. There's no point in going at near highs, like when you're trading, if it's all green, you don't be buying. You wait till you get red days, like we had a few days ago where it was all red, or you might a couple of days where the market's depressed. That is the time to be buying the coins that you want to get into. So you just got to wait for that to happen. You got to be patient. So hopefully that answers your questions. We're going to wrap it up. So for anyone else that's not familiar with how the Bitcoin Cash giveaway works, all you need to do is like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and make sure you put a comment or a question with your Bitcoin Cash address in the comments. And then what we'll do then tomorrow, I will draw a winner once this one's posted to YouTube tonight. So I really appreciate everyone joining me. I appreciate Mr. Bazinga 431, Chanel, Romo, Sniper, Andrea, MC Hoddle, Carlo. I appreciate you guys. So if you've got any questions, make sure you put them in so I can check them out. I always like getting questions, and I'll try and follow up on some of those ones I haven't done. So till then, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.